What's up with all these books?
Hey guys, welcome to another video. So I was going to do two separate videos on two separate series that I read in the past 2 weeks, and then I realized that they were by the same exact author. So instead of doing two different videos, I'm going to do one to kind of compare them to each other and see what I liked about them both and what I was not too happy about. So the first series is the Cursebreaker series, which is 3 books. A Curse So Dark and Lonely, A Heart So Fierce and Broken, and A Vow So Bold and Deadly. And the other one is the Defy the Night series, which is Defy the Night, Defend the Dawn, and Destroy the Day. So the order I read them was the Defy the Night series and then the Cursebreaker series. So we're going to talk about the Defy the Night series first, the Cursebreaker series, and then we're going to kind of compare which one I liked better. And just have some fun doing a little comparison. All right. Okay, so the Defy the Night series is pretty much, if I had to sum it up quickly, would pretty much be like medieval COVID. That's what that is. So in the first book, the Defy the Night, you have Prince Coric and King Harriston. So it's these two brothers that are running a kingdom, and they have all of their courts and all of the politics and all the stuff that they have to go through, and both of their parents were killed in front of them. So they had to grow up and become king and prince really, really quickly. They had to just be forced into the role. They were still kids themselves. I think Harriston turned out to be like 17 and 15, so other people in the court didn't think that they should even be there, and they had some people support them, some people didn't, but they just had to force themselves to just be brutal and mean to prove to the adults that they had what it took to stay there. So that's all that's going on in the castle up here. Outside, on the streets, people are sick, people are dying, people love the king and queen. They supported the change from the princes to become the rulers, but the fact that the princes had to start being cruel is affecting pretty much the outside. So that's the setup of the story. So we're here, I think, 3 years after the parents died. So they've been ruling for 3 years. There's a disease that's now going through the outside of the kingdom more. It is affecting the kingdom. There are a couple people that are sick of the kingdom, but it's more affecting the outside of the kingdom. And no one knows where this disease came from. Everyone's, when you get sick, you get sick. There's no way of seeing if you're getting it from other people. They don't know how it's getting passed around. Nothing. People are just getting sick. People are dying, right? So there's this girl named Tessa whose dad was an apothecary, and he was studying the sickness and some cures and some ailments and stuff like that. Well, he died. So she has his book of all of his studies and stuff like that. And she is trying to continue and help everybody. So her and her friend Wes pretty much are Robin Hood. They sneak into the castle. They take these things called moonflower petals, which are supposed to help the fevers and help the stuff. So they go and they take from the people that don't need it, and they make potions, and then they give the potions pretty much for free to the people outside the castle. So that's the dynamic we got there. One day, Tess is making her potions and stuff like that. Wes says, I'm going to go, get some stuff real quick, get some more of the moonflowers and stuff like that. He doesn't come back. She goes to the front of the castle, and see that he's, strung up, daggers are in his eyes, blood all over the place. He's dead now. So she decides, you know what? I got this. I'm going to go kill the princes, because the princes are the ones that killed my dude. So she is able to sneak her way into the castle with a whole bunch of these poisonous herbs. So she's going to poison the tea and the water of all that stuff for the prince. So that way as she gets her revenge. So she makes her way all the way to the kitchen, and the prince finds her because she startles a servant. So the guards come, and so the prince finds her, throws her in his chambers instead of in the prison. Come to find out, Wes was actually the prince, sneaking out to help out everybody, and he had to fake his own death because people were starting to figure out, he couldn't be in two places at one time. So he had to fake his own death on that side to be able to still rule on this side. So she's like, what the hell? I didn't know you were the prince, because he always wore a mask all the time. So that's how she gets wrangled into all of the politics of everything. So that's pretty much the first book. The second book is Defend the Dawn. In Defend the Dawn, they're still trying to figure out which region has the best source of the moon petals. They're trying to figure out where they can get more, because these moonflower petals are supposed to help the sickness. Well, one of the regions that nobody really talks to, no one has any kind of affiliation with, sends an emissary right in the middle of all this and is like, hey, we have a bunch of it. You guys need it, obviously. We need iron. You guys have the most iron, so we'll give you guys the flowers. You give us the iron. Happy trade. Everybody's happy, right? So the king and the prince don't really know if they should trust this guy. The other people and the other higher ups in the courts and stuff like that are like, can we really trust these people? Well, this guy actually has a seal from the king, from the brother's dad before he died. Apparently he sent this guy out 7 years ago, and he has a seal, is a letter with a seal of the king, and he has a ring that pretty much says that while he's there, he can pretty much speak on the king's behalf. Brothers didn't know anything about this, so they're like, that's super fishy, what's going on? So the brothers are like, you know what, let's just go see what's up. They send some people over in a ship. They send Tessa, who's the apothecary, so that way she can see if the moonflowers are real, because they were kind of, making fake ones to sell. So she's like, let me see if they're actually legitimate. They're sending the prince, not the king, the prince, as a show of good faith that they're, gonna negotiate. There you go, that's the word. And then they sent 3 guards. So they didn't send a lot of people because the guy on the ship was like, you can't take all my crew's food. And that's what he was all about. He was all about his loyalty to his crew. You can't put my crew in danger. We can't, send a whole battalion because people are going to think you're following me. We can't, eat all of our food for my crew. Like, send a smaller group of people. We'll get there. You can talk to the king there, and we're good. So most of this book is on the boat. It's jumping back from the court stuff and all of the city stuff that's happening, and then it has to do with them going on the boat to this new region. I'm going to talk about the end of this second book. So if you don't want to know about really the end of the book and you're just happy just understanding that part, cool. At the end of the second book, you find out that the guy that came stole the identity, pretty much, of the king's spy that he sent, and he's actually the new king of this area. He came over, and he has pretty much started a whole war between his entire family, because they all want to become king, and he's the king now. So his uncle's after him, he's got cousins after him, everybody pretty much was fighting for a spot, and now it's just these two. It's the uncle, and it's the new king. And the king is taking them on the boat to his region to talk about the trading stuff. Well, they don't like that they were lied to. All out battling on ships and stuff starts happening. The prince, Prince Korik, gets blown off the ship. So he's dead. He's off the ship now. So Tessa makes it over with this new prince, Prince Lachlan, or King Lachlan at this point. So the King Lachlan and Tessa make it to their region, and he's explaining to Tessa, that was my uncle that pretty much shot us down. I pretty much have this leverage on him. We're trying to get him completely gone. I need your guys' iron to do that. Tessa is obviously mad that, her man just got blown into the water, and this dude lied about who he was. So they're here. The very last chapter, Korik pretty much comes up on sea and is on land getting pretty much captured by Oren Crane, who is Lachlan's uncle. So now they're both on the separate sides of this now family war that's happening. So the third book is Destroy the Day, and this one is now told in 3 different point of views. So we got Tessa and Lachlan over here. We got Korik and one of the revolutionaries here in prison, kidnapped by Oren Crane, who's the other one that's trying to be ruler of this place. And then we got Harrison over here, pretty much trying to be overthrown. So all 3 of the point of views are all pretty much stuck or in trouble in some way, shape, or form. Tessa and Eric, her guard, pretty much tell Lachlan that we're not going to help you. We thought you were friends. You lied to us. You pretty much are the reason that Korik's dead. We don't want anything to do with you. We're not trading. Just take me home. Just get me out of here. I want to go back to home. And he's like, you know what? I can't. My ship got attacked. I don't have a way of taking you. So here's this house. Just go hang out at this house. Stay there. And then whenever we can negotiate or get you back home or whatever, we'll take you home. But you don't have to be in my presence. You don't have to be in my castle. You hate me. That's cool. Here's a whole house. Just hang out there until we can figure it all out. They say, all right, we're cool. Korik gets kidnapped. Then they think that he is a servant for the prince, not that he's the prince himself. Korik and the revolutionary guy pretty much tell Oren Crane that, you know what, we can help you. We worked for the prince. We can, I was actually his assassin. I wasn't his servant. I was his assassin. So we can help you get information or help you do what we got to do and help you kill Lachlan because he tried to kill us. We don't care about him. He lied to us, whatever. We'll go kill him. So Oren Crane's like, all right, bet. Prove yourself. Go kill this guy who has all this information because he keeps giving out information to everybody. We want him dead because, he knows too much. Korik goes in this guy's house, doesn't kill him, and says, what do you know? Like, what can we do? Because I'm not a servant or an assassin for the prince. I am the prince. So he tells him the truth and says, I'm the prince. I need, a way to get messages sent, and I need a way to get home. So Tessa's over here, Korik's over here, and Harrison over here is pretty much been attacked, been dethroned, and all of the other people in court are saying, well, look, the prince is gone, or the king is gone, and no one's getting sick anymore. So obviously it was the king that was poisoning everybody. It's not. He's lost all of his favor. He only has 2 guards now. Everybody else, he's pretty much supposed to be executed on sight. He's got 2 guards that are loyal to him. So it's him, 2 guards, and he shelters himself with the revolution. So the people that were fighting against him and didn't like him are now, holding him there to see if all of that is true. So pretty much all of them are prisoners in some way, shape, or form at this point in the book. Well, Korik works with the guy that has all the information and says, get a letter over to Lachlan, so he can see if Tessa's still alive. So he sends a letter over to him, and they set up a plan to trick Oren Crane. They say that they pretty much have his daughter, and that Korik can go get her from Lachlan. And then everybody will be good. They'll understand that they're loyal to him. They'll kill Lachlan. Oren Crane wins, whatever. So they all meet up together at that point. Eric starts to have a little romance with a girl named Olive, who becomes Tessa's friend, who's pretty much helping out heal all of the people because she's an apothecary, so she takes medicine and does all that stuff. That's her first thought. So she's helping out as much people as she can while she's stuck in this house. So she makes a friend named Olive, and Olive and Eric start, a little romance over here, which is the best romance in the book. There's about 3 or 4 different romances, but even though this only appeared in the 3rd book, this is the best one by far. Olive and Eric are just, it even sounds good. Olive and Eric. Olive and Eric. Korik is coming over here to pretty much get Tessa so that way they can all join forces to kill Orin Crane, which they do. So now they are like, okay, we did all this for you, Lachlan. You wanted us to trust you. You lied to us. Tell us like all that's going on so that we don't have this feud anymore and we can go home. Spoiler. So the flower petals that are supposed to cure the sickness is actually a poison. They use it on their side as a poison. So the going back over to where Harrison is, the other people in court are actually poisoning the water because they didn't want Harrison and Korik there in the first place because they were too young. So they're poisoning the water system, poisoning the people, and then as soon as Harrison, left, they pretty much said, "Oh, you're not being poisoned anymore." So that was their proof. Their proof that it was Harrison's doing, so that way they can get the whole kingdom overthrown, and then other people can step in and fight for the rule of it. So Harrison is pretty much trying to get as many allies as he can. They still don't know that the flower is a poison. Tessa and Korik are trying to get home to tell everybody that it's a poison because they just found this out. So they're trying to tell everybody that it's a poison. So it's like this race against the clock on who's going to get to Harrison first and see if he's even alive. So, because they don't know. They all were on a ship and they've been gone for a whole book and a half at this point. So they get back to the original kingdom and the guards meet him and pretty much call him king. They say that Harrison's dead. That Harrison doesn't exist. So he's, hurt thinking his brother's dead. The only family he has anymore is dead. So he has to pretty much become king at this point. So he comes and gives them all the information, shows them all of the documents of how it's actually a poison. They fix everything in the higher court kingdoms and all that stuff. So that way, Prince Korik can pretty much be the king that he wants to be, and he doesn't feel like he has to force himself to be mean. Very last chapter of the book, you find out that Harrison survived. He writes a letter to Korik. They come and visit him, and everybody's alive, everybody's happy. Yay! So I gave the series as a whole a 4-star. I know it was kind of confusing, but I didn't want to say too much to give away all of it. So even though I did talk about a couple of spoilers, there's still a lot more that you can read for yourself. So sorry if that was confusing, but the whole politics thing can be confusing because you got to follow a lot of stuff. So I tried to keep it as somewhat vague on big plot things as possible, but I did give away a few things. So that is the Defy the Night series. So the next series we're going to talk about by this author is the Cursebreaker series, which is a curse so dark and lonely, a heart so fierce and broken, and a vow so bold and deadly. A curse so dark and lonely. It was a very good setup. I thought it was a very good setup. We follow Prince Ren and Gray. Gray is his one guard that he has, and it's pretty much like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Prince Ren is cursed, and every 3rd season, I believe, he turns into a beast, pretty much kills everything and goes crazy, and then time resets. So he has I think it's spring. It's summer and spring, and then once it starts to get cold, he starts to turn into this thing, and it's different every time. So it's not even like he has a set form. He just turns into this thing, kills everybody, and then time restarts. Only way to break the curse is love. So Gray is the only guard he has left. Gray has they were cursed by an enchantress named Lilith. Lilith was trying to pretty much fall in love with the prince. And Ren pretty much, tooted and booted. He was like, yeah, we can have fun, but, we're done now. So she cursed him. Gray was the soldier that survived the first 2 nights. So he was also pretty much cursed too, saying, so when time resets, only those two come back. So if Gray kills Ren to try and break the curse, time automatically resets. If Ren, kills Gray at the end of the time, it resets. So those two always reset in the same room after 3 seasons. So the only way to stop it is, love. So the Enchantress gave Gray a bracelet that lets him travel to our world. So it's pretty much 2 parallel worlds. There's the kingdom, and then there's our world. Gray uses this bracelet that he can travel through, that Lilith gave him, to get a girl and bring her here so she can try to break the curse. So he goes to Washington, D.C., and gets a girl at a bar. She's drunk. And he's walking out the bar with her, and our main girl, Harper, sees him walking out of the bar with a girl that's all like stumbly, and she's like, no ma'am, we ain't doing that. So she grabs a crowbar, like a metal bar that she finds in an alley, and hits Gray in the head to pretty much she thinks he's saving this girl because she's too drunk. So Gray instead grabs her by the wrist and teleports her here. So Gray wasn't trying to get Harper. Harper pretty much forced herself into, that situation. So now Harper's like, what the hell? I'm not in DC anymore. I'm in some castle. So she sees Prince Ren, and she's like, what the hell is going on? You guys kidnapped me. And he's like, well, let me explain what's going on. She obviously runs because she ain't trying to hear nothing. She starts to see that there's nobody else in the castle. It's just these 2 guys. So she finds a horse. She used to go riding as a kid because, obviously. She finds a horse and just starts to book it. She gets to a point where it's sunny and everything. She passes through pretty much these trees and it's snowing. And she's like, what the hell? They were trying to explain to her that it was a curse and there was an enchantment and stuff. And obviously she didn't believe it. But that's when she started to believe, when this weather changed and the season changed, and when she passed like a certain threshold in the forest that's around the castle. So this book is pretty much Harper trying to understand what's going on, Gray and Ren trying to keep her alive and trying to break the curse as well. That's what this whole book is about. I did really, really like this book. I do really, really like the characters. This entire series is the Gray story for me. I know Ren is supposed to be the main character and Harper that love, but it's the Gray story for me. Gray has been one of my favorite book characters like ever at this point after reading this series. Gray is that dude. They're trying to explain to Harper what's going on. Harper is trying to adjust to this new world of, not modern stuff. Her phone doesn't work, but she has a family that she needs to get back to. Like I said, Beauty and the Beast retelling. So her mom is dying of cancer. Her brother is pretty much taking on like bad jobs. Like he's got to like rough up people for the mob and stuff like that to be able to pay for her mom's medical bills. So she's freaking out. She needs to get back home because her brother and mom are pretty much all she has, and they think she's just been gone. She doesn't know how long she's been gone because time doesn't flow properly there. So Ren and Gray are pretty much like, well, this is what you got to do. You got to break this curse. If you don't break the curse, we can't take you back. Either you can break the curse, but if you don't break the curse in 3, seasons, which I think is like 6 months or 5 months or something in that time, time just resets, and we think you just go back because every time time resets, the girls are just gone. So if you can either hang out. If you don't want to try and break the curse, you can just hang out, and then at that time you'll just boop, you're back. So she starts to learn about the castle and all of the things, and and Gray's loyalty to the prince. Since he's his last guard, he pretty much does anything the prince says. He'll kill somebody if the prince says it. He will not question him. He just is like, no, I said that I'm going to lay down my life for you. One of the lines is he pretty much says, I bleed so the prince doesn't. So he will, whatever the prince needs, Gray's going to do it. Harper starts to see this dynamic and starts to become friends with Gray because Gray is he kind of opens up to her, not really, but he kind of opens up to her a little bit. And he doesn't open up to the prince because he can't show any kind of weakness. He can't be like, they're not friends. Like, that's his protector. And Gray always draws that line, and so does the prince. Harper, every time she gets mad at Ren for, being the prince and being mean and stuff like that, goes and tries to leave. And Gray starts to realize that every time they get into an argument, the first place she goes is the stables. So he starts becoming friends with her every time she goes to the stables to try and run away. He starts showing her how to throw daggers and how to, defend herself and things of that nature. So Lilith, the one who cursed them, keeps popping up every now and then and torturing Ren, pretty much unleashing magic inside of him and causing the feeling of his insides breaking and stuff like that, but no scars, no nothing happens. So she's torturing him from what it seems like, just for fun, because she's already messed with him enough. And is explaining to Ren, oh yeah, you can just get Harper. If Harper can't do it, you can just love me, because that's what she wanted in the first place. This whole time you could have, all of these different seasons and cycles that could have passed, you could have just fell in love with me and you would have been fine, but you never wanted to, so I'm just going to torture you now. That's pretty much what's going on with Lilith at this point. So we get towards the end of the book. Gray is starting to open up a little bit to Ren because this is their last cycle. Lilith pretty much said, after this one, you're done. If she doesn't fall in love with you, you're just going to stay a beast forever. So Gray is starting to get a little more not soldiery and more friendly, and be like, look, dude, this is what you got to do. We got to do this. We got to do that. I laid down my life for you. I gave up my whole life, in service of you. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. So Ren tells him, you don't have your oath anymore. He pretty much excludes him from his oath. You don't have to do this anymore. You're free. You can speak freely. You can do whatever you want. And Gray's like, cool. I'm going to stay right here though. This is, we're in this together. No matter if you break the oath or not, I'm still going to be right here. So they set up a plan to try to kill Lilith. In that time, there is a queen from another region called Sil Shallow, and she's Caris Lorraine. Caris Lorraine. And she comes over. She just comes over randomly. It's kind of weird how they don't really talk about her much, and then she just shows up, and she's just kind of a dick to everybody, but that's neither here nor there. So she comes, and she pretty much says, I had a agreement with your dad, the king. No one else knows that his whole family's dead. He's just been I'm they're gone. They're all for this or all for that. So she shows up, and she's like, he hasn't been paying me, what's up? What's going on? I know he's dead, so we're about to go to war unless you figure something out. And the Prince Ren is pretty much saying, I'm not going to pay you that agreement you had with your dad, with my dad, you had with my dad, not with me. So she pretty much says, okay, we're going to get that get back real quick. I'm going to go get my army, and we'll be back with everybody, and you're about to get murked. So she leaves, and she's angry. And so Gray Ren pretty much has this choice of so what am I supposed to do? Because if we don't stop Lilith and I turn into this monster, I'm pretty much going to kill the whole kingdom, and I'm not going to have any rule. This girl's going to come in, kill me pretty much, and take over everything. So they make up a fake army under Harper and say that she's the princess of D.C., Washington, D.C. So she's the princess of D.C., and she has an army that's going to pretty much come, and they're in an alliance now to stop this queen from coming over here. So she has a fake army. They rally up all of the people that are kind of still loyal to the royal family because, like I said, they think that everybody just kind of left them. They rally them up pretty much saying that Harper has an army. She doesn't. End of the book comes around. Spoiler. and Lilith is pretty much saying, hey, your time's up. The prince transforms. And it's actually cool that how the way they explain it. He has the head of a horse with like super sharp fangs, a body of a dragon, and wings of like an eagle. So it's like a horse, dragon, eagle thing. And he doesn't know who he is. He's, killing the new people that he just recruited that are like in his castle now. So he's starting to kill them. Gray takes Harper back because he can, go back and forth. So he takes Harper back to her family so she can fix that situation and she can be away from, being killed. Harper's back at home with her mom and her brother, explains everything to her brother. Obviously, the brother doesn't believe her. Finds out her brother has been in a relationship this whole time and didn't tell her about it. So he has a boyfriend. So this guy, Noah, so it's Jake and Noah are in her house, and she's like, oh, you never told me about this. Well, her mom passes away while she's there. They have a nice little moment. They talk. She pretty much says she loves her, and then her mom passes away, like, right in front of her. So the next day, 3 weeks after that, Gray shows up at their house, like, completely covered in blood, just completely messed up. Noah actually is a doctor and works in the medical field, so he patches him up, and Gray explains, Ren is now the beast. He's killing everything. I didn't know where else to go. Maybe you could help us out because he did love you. So at that point, the mobsters that the brother was trying to work for to keep the money going break in and try to shoot all of them. So Gray has no choice but to just grab them and teleport them. So now they're all back in the kingdom. So it's Harper, Noah, the boyfriend, Jake, who is Harper's brother, and Gray all get teleported back to the kingdom. So they're like, all right, we're here. We're going to we have to do this now. So they go and try and stop Ren, obviously, with the power of love. Harper's the only one that can talk to him. He comes down from, killing everything and becomes human again. Lilith isn't too happy about it. So Gray steps in and says, I don't have an oath to him anymore. I'll make an oath with you because you just want somebody. The curse is broken now. They love each other. Don't kill the prince. I'll make an oath to you now. So they're all like, dude, don't do that. So as he's about to start to make this oath, he grabs Lilith, stabs her, and teleports her to DC. Her magic doesn't work in the real world. She can be killed. In the kingdom, she can't be killed. But in DC, she can be. So he grabs her, teleports her there, and they're gone. So Harper and Ren are left. They start to run that kingdom, and they start to figure all that out, but they don't know anything about Gray. Last part of the book, you find out that Gray teleported back and is staying with his old mom because he now knows information. Right before he killed Lilith and stabbed her in the throat, she said that he is pretty much the rightful heir. That the king had a bastard baby and he's older than Ren, so in their kingdom he's the rightful heir. So he doesn't want to go back and take that information to Ren and force them pretty much into a war because that's his boy. He's like, no, I'm just going to act like I'm dead. Everyone thinks I'm dead. I'm just going to be dead. They can run the kingdom. We're cool. So that's the end of the first book. So the second book in the series is A Heart So Fierce and Broken. And I looked at the reviews. A lot of people didn't like this book because it is a departure from the first one. But I loved it. I gave the first book a 3-star because I did enjoy it. But the second book I gave a 4-star. I absolutely loved the second one because it's a Gray story. And I told you Gray is one of my favorite characters in all books now. So we kind of don't really talk to Ren or Harper a lot in this book. They come every now and then, but this whole thing is mostly the Gray stories. Gray is now just hiding out. He's just working as a farmhand at like some tournament where the people just come in and they're like, oh, I'll fight the knights, and they just put on shows. So he's just working as like a farmhand there, hiding out. He makes a friend named Tycho, who's 15, who's just a little kid, and they practice with swords every now and then. Obviously, Gray didn't tell him that he was like the best swordsman pretty much around. So he loses on purpose and just kind of shows him the basics. So the guy that runs the tournament pulls Gray aside and says, "I found something," and he found a scraver. A scraver is pretty much like a half creature, half human thing. It's like he stands up like a human, but his hands are pretty much talons, and he has wings coming out of his back, and his skin is pretty much all black, and he has really dark black eyes, and they can use magic. So he caught one from a trapper. I guess he won it in some kind of game, like cards or something. So he has it there, so he wants to show it off in the tournament once it gets better. Gray's just like loves animals. He always has. So he doesn't want this thing in this cage, and he thinks it's being treated poorly, so he kind of takes care of it while he's still there. Ren and Harper are trying to figure out what to do now that Gray's gone. So they're pretty much sending out people to see who's still loyal. One of the scouts end up in that tournament where Gray is. They find out that it's Gray, pretty much force him back by kidnapping his new friend that he made, Tycho. So Gray made friends with Tycho, and he knows everything. He pretty much saw him use magic. So he explained to Tycho, like, yeah, I'm the real heir. I know I can use magic. Don't tell anybody. So Tycho's one thing after he says that is like, oh, so you were like a guard, so you've been holding back. You can teach me more stuff with the sword. And Gray's like, of all the things, that's what you want to know? It's like, yeah, I've been holding back. So he's teaching Tycho for real now, like how to really use a sword, and Tycho's excited about it. So Tycho as a character is pretty awesome. Anyways, they get to the tournament. They find out that it's Gray. They start trying to imprison him. Gray lets out the Scraver as like a distraction, and he runs out on horseback. They find him later, put him in chains, him and Tycho, and they take him to see Ren. So Ren's there, and Ren's like, dude, you were gone. Like, we thought you were dead. What's up? And he's like, yeah, I stayed away because I needed to protect you. Like, I don't. And then Ren keeps saying how Lilith told him that you know information. You know who the heir is. You know where the magic got passed down to. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I don't need to tell you because it's not something you need to know. He's still sticking to the honor and the oath that he made and said, you don't need to know. It's just going to hurt you. Like, you just don't need to know the heir is not going to come for your crown. Just live your life normal. You don't have to worry about it. So Ren says, all right, I'm going to give you 24 hours. To pretty much change your mind. You can use the castle, you can walk around, to have whatever you want, but in 24 hours you need to tell me, what's going on. So the 24 hours pass, he's walking around, he's, talking to Harper again, because they've been separated this whole time, and she's showing him that she's better with swords now. And then Ren comes up to him and says, so you gonna let me know? And he says, no, I'm just not. So he takes him to the middle of this Coliseum, chains him up, and he's like, and Gray's pretty much like, okay, I knew this was gonna happen. They're gonna execute me, for not giving him information. That's cool, because now he can just live his life the way he wanted to. I don't want the throne anyway. No big deal. So he's ready to just take it and just be, dead. But then they bring out Tycho, who was his friend, and they start whipping him in front of him, just completely messing up his back. And that's the first time that Gray ever saw Ren be vicious like that. And he thought that he wouldn't cross that line with him. So it breaks this dynamic of this friendship in half. It's just like they were best friends in a way. He still did have that oath, but you felt that they were best friends. And at that moment, that whole friendship just shattered because he pretty much broke, one of his new friends in order to try and get this information because he was scared of the magic, because Lilith has been messing with him with magic for all of those cycles. So he unleashes the magic, because obviously he has it, and knocks out everybody. Everybody's on their ass. Everybody's in a coma, passed out. Actually, I have to backtrack now. The other kingdom, Karis Lorraine, the queen of there has 2 daughters. She sent her 2 daughters and her over to pretty much try and negotiate the merging of their families so that way they can open up this path of like trade and stuff. So even though she's being a bitch to Ren in front of Harper, pretty much saying, hey, take my daughter, let's marry him off, and do this, Ren's like, nah, we ain't gonna, we can't. Chorus Lorraine is the queen, and her 2 daughters are Noella Varin and Leah Mara. Yeah, so it's Leah Mara. Noella is pretty much exactly like her mom. She's ruthless. She kills everything. She's just a bitch and is like, to set the example, she'll cut people's tongues out. She'll kill people in the middle of the court just to, they're just like that. Leah Mara wants there to be peace. So she's like, you know what? We don't have to do all of that example. We can just, all be friends and hold hands and woo. Ren turns down the proposal for Noella. They leave upset. And Leah Mara takes it upon herself that maybe I can negotiate because I want peace. So she comes back after they leave. She comes back by herself with her 2 guards and pretty much says, hey, let's just have peace. Like, I'm not here to kill anybody. I'm not here to do anything. Me and you get married politically so that way, we can just all kind of, be friends. So Ren's like, okay, we'll talk about it. As they're walking away, Ren has her guard killed and pretty much imprisons her. So now she doesn't like Ren because Ren said that he was going to help out and then he didn't. So after this whole Coliseum things happen, after this whole thing where where Gray knocks everybody on their ass, Leah Mara is able to walk around now. So she comes out and says, we got to go. I know who you are. I saw the magic. I know who you are. In my kingdom, you will pretty much be safe. Like if you take me home, my mom will grant you, whatever you want. They grab his new little buddy. They get Gray and Leah Mara and they leave. And the Harper sees them leaving, so she's like, hey, my brother doesn't want to be here. He feels like he's stuck here, and you're the only one that can get him home, so take my brother with you. And his boyfriend Noah. So Jake and Noah are like, go see him safely over there. When he gets there, get them home. So the rest of the book pretty much is this journey of them going from one kingdom to the other. So it's Gray, Leah Mara, Jake, Noah, Tycho, and Isaac. Isaac is the Scraver that Gray got out of the cage. He found them because he can sense Gray's magic. So he found them, and now he's traveling with them and helping Gray pretty much tap into his magic. So most of the book is them going through all of the motions of getting from one place to another. Gray is learning how to use his magic. They only check in on Ren like maybe 1 or 2 chapters, and I think Harper only has 1 chapter. So most of this book is this journey. So they get to the other castle. They let them in. The queen is pretty much saying, okay, I'll see them all. We'll get everything situated. The queen then binds Isaac and says, you're pretty much going to you broke the treaty. You were supposed to stay in your area, but you're here now. So, yeah, you're now pretty much like chained to me and you have to follow my orders. Gray sees that and he's like, yeah, we're not doing that. Put him under my service. So the queen pretty much says, okay, we're going to test it and see if you can earn it. So she has Isaac pretty much kill a person right in front of them. Like he slashes straight through them and they're just bleeding on the floor. And the queen's like, okay, heal him. If you heal him, we'll start with the terms and all that stuff. And he's like, no, I'm not going to heal him just because you told me to. Like this guy, I don't know this dude. Like you want me to do this. You can't bargain with someone whose life I don't care about. So he's pretty much outright defying her in front of everybody. And he pretty much puts all these terms of my people are not harmed. I get Isaac. You don't get to tell him what to do, and you don't get him to kill anybody for you, and then I'll heal this guy and, we'll talk about a treaty at this point. So she has to agree to all that because she wants his power and he's the only one with it. So she says fine, agrees to all of that in front of her whole people, which is a big deal because this country doesn't like men. They don't have kings. If you have a man at your side, you're pretty much considered weak. So they all have to watch her pretty much give in to a man, and they don't like it. So he's like, all right, cool. Heals the dude, brings him back. All right, everything's good now. So the queen is now saying, okay, we're gonna go over here with Ren. We're gonna go over here with my army, and you're gonna lead them. But I need to check your loyalty first. And he's like, well, I did all of this other stuff. I healed the dude. I've been here. I haven't attacked anybody. Like, what else do you want? He's like, well, I need you to kill a traitor for me. You killed for Ren. I need you to kill a traitor for me. So he's like, all right, I can do that. No problem. She brings out her daughter that he started falling in love with on that trip, Liamara. And he's just like, yeah, no, I'm not going to kill her. Like, that's your daughter, and she's not a traitor. He's like, well, yeah, she is. She went behind our back to do this treaty and sided with them. I'm disowning her. She's not my daughter, so kill her. Or else, I'm going to kill you, and we're just going to do this on our own. So he taps into his power as they're all kind of getting surrounded and teleports him and Liamara to DC. So they're back in the real world now, and then Liamara's like, what the hell? I've never been here before. So he's like, okay, we're going to teleport back. And when we teleport back, we're going to be in the middle of this fight. So Liamara's like, okay, I got you. So they teleport back. Gray's out, defending Liamara, killing everybody. Liamara finds 2 daggers on the floor, picks them up, and throws them. And when she does that, she hits the queen. Now, in this region, whoever kills the queen is now the ruler. So instead of it being like an heir, like the firstborn or whatever, this one, it's whoever kills the queen is now the ruler. So the queen was actually going to give the ruler to Noella because she's just like her. And she didn't like that Liamara was, nice and soft. So she pretty much said, you're not going to be my successor, Noella is. So now that she killed the queen, Liamara is now the queen as their rules. So that's how the book ends. Liamara is now the queen. Gray is now pretty much forced to go to war against who he just found out is his brother now, they've been separated for this entire book, but now they pretty much have to go to war because Ren's not going to stop, and Gray is now upset because he crossed that line that he thought that he would never cross. And Liamara and Gray have this relationship now, so he's going to pretty much use her army against Ren's army, and that's where the second book ends. Hi, welcome back. New game, new day. I had some technical difficulties. The camera died, and then there were some issues with the audio. So, new day, but we're here to talk about the last part of the book. So, in the third book of the Cursebreaker series, A Vow So Bold and Deadly, we got the war coming to a head. We got Prince Ren and his crew, and we got Gray and his crew. So the curse pretty much has been broken. Their friendship is just in pieces at this point, and they feel like they're forced to, go all out against each other to see, what's going to happen. So Gray takes his army that he has with his new love, Liamara, from her kingdom, and they go and they're going to try and stomp out Prince Ren. Lilith actually comes back and kills everybody in the castle. So Ren has now nothing. It's just Ren by himself with like some, I think an army outside of the forest. So while he's in the castle, he's by himself. It's just him and Lilith. He's killed everybody. So Harper escapes that and goes to Gray and pretty much says, hey, you guys were friends at one point, help him. And Gray says, nah, fam, we ain't doing that. He broke that friendship and he did all of this stuff. I have my own, family, so to speak, now at this point. Like, he never treated me like family. He always treated me like I was under oath, and I have a family now. and I am the rightful king at this point. I can't just say no and, not do anything about what he's done. So Harper tries to do that. She fails, but she at least agrees to have him walk over there and say, talk, because Prince Ren was going to surrender, and that's why Lilith killed everybody. So Harper tells this to Gray, and he's like, all right, we'll go over there with just 10 dudes. If you say he's going to surrender, we'll go into the castle, just us. And if he's going to surrender, cool, we're good. If not, I'm going to kill him myself. So they get into the castle, and Ren is just beat to shit. He's just not eating. He's just horrible. They come across each other in the hallway, and Gray's about to attack him with the sword, and Ren just drops the sword, gets on his knees, and says, I surrender. Just kill me. I have nothing to live for. Everybody I know is gone. My whole kingdom's gone. Harper's gone. Blah, blah, blah. And Gray, being the amazing person that he is, grabs him by his hand, picks him up, and says, a prince should not kneel to anybody. Even though he had all that animosity, even though Ren turned his back on Gray, he still, at the end, was his boy and said, nah, we're going to do this together. So they join forces, they kill Lilith, and that's the end of the book, so to say. My favorite part, the part that almost made me tear up, I was pretty close, and out of everything, this is the weirdest part, but at the very, very end, the Ren and Gray go to a tavern to just hang out, and just that initial fact that they can actually be friends now, of them just joking back and forth with each other and being like on an even playing field, just like that hit me pretty hard, and I was very happy that it ended that way. So I know that's kind of like a bros ending, but I enjoyed it a lot. So out of the two series, I would definitely say that the Cursebreaker series, in my opinion, was better. I think that both of them deserve to be read. Defy the Night was amazing. I loved most of the characters. I loved the story. I loved where it went and broke off. Yeah, there was some tropes. Some things were predictable, but I didn't see everything coming, and I enjoyed my time with it. I gave the whole series 4 stars. Yeah, every single book I gave 4 stars. And then when it came to the Cursebreakers, I gave the first book 3-star because the beginning of it was just, Beauty and the Beast retelling. The beginning I was like, okay, I've been here before. But then those last hour and a half to 2 hours was amazing. And then that set up the whole Gray story. And then the next 2 books were mostly about Gray, and I was here for it. I loved every second of it. So I would say, for me personally, Cursebreakers is better than the Defy the Night series, but both of them were absolutely amazing, and I will reread them at some point. So, all right, well, I'm glad you guys made it to the end of the video. Sorry that there was a random break because, always at the mercy of technology, but I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and see you at the next one.